Hello guys, welcome to another session on answer writing program. So here we will be discussing a question from Mead and I'll give you the answer also after that. So let's see the question here. So here is a question. Okay. So the question is this, according to Mead, we play a key role in our own socialization. Explain. So here you can define socialization. That should be this is the structure, and you can define, talk about agent of socialization, and then Mead's idea on how socialization begins with self, and then give a conclusion. You can also talk about other thinkers, views on socialization. For example, you can talk about Durkheim. You can talk about, uh, the Parson, right? So that again, if you know and if you have time and space, you can bring in. So guys, let's start. So what could be your introduction? You can define socialization, right? So socialization is a process through which individuals internalize the societal norms, values, customs, ideologies, right? And that's going to shape their behavior and their understanding of the world. So when we talk about socialization, that involve, internalizing the norms and values, the customs, ideas, and everything about society. And that eventually going to shape their behavior and their understanding of the world in which they are living in. So this process basically equip you with, the skills which is required or necessary for participating in society. So you can talk about Anthony Giddens' definition also. See, Anthony Giddens defines socialization as a transforming a helpless infant into a self-aware, knowledgeable individual who's skilled in cultural practices. So socialization is basically a, infant is transformed into a self-aware individual, and he will be getting, that skills which is required to survive in society, cultural practices and everything. So socialization is not only helping the individuals to adapt to societal expectation, but it also allow them to play an active role in shaping society in future also, right? So this is again part of socialization. Various thinkers we can discuss about Emile Durkheim. It's not only Mead. We can talk about Durkheim. We can talk about Parson. We can talk about Cooley. In fact, when we discuss about Mead, we need to discuss about Charles Horton Cooley also. Their contribution, his contribution as well. So let's start with agents of socialization, mainly family, then peer group, schools, media, community and religious institutions, the occupational groups and the social class. All these are agents of socialization. All these agents, in fact, influence the individuals and the process of socialization. So this will shape the individual's self-concept and, create his societal role, idea about his societal role. So family is the primary agent, especially during the early childhood. So family teaches the basic norms and values. Then comes the peer group, right? Influence the social behavior and identity over a period of time, particularly during the adolescent stage. Schools impart that formal education and the societal rules, in fact, fostering the intellectual and moral development of any individual. Media also have a very important role to play to shape, various perspectives and reinforce societal norms through representations of culture, values, and ideologies. Then again, religious institutions, community, right? They again provide moral framework and the collective identity to the individual. Occupational group later and the social class he is part of, that again shape the worldview and the expectations based on the roles and the status of the individual. So these are agents of socialization. You need to bring in this. Now, let's talk about Mead's idea on how socialization begins with self. So I hope you know about Mead, right? So we discussed that and his concept of symbolic interactionism and everything. He focused on self as a product of social interaction. And he highlighted the active role of individuals play in their own socialization, and that is offering various key concepts also. So guys, again, this is something which you can cut, copy, paste from that discussion, which we have done in the context of the symbolic interactionism, where we discuss the concept of self and everything. So the social nature of the self is, if you see, Mead argue that the self is not innate but arise from social interaction. We discussed about I, we discussed about me, the difference also. I teach you, right? Me is evaluating what I'm teaching is correct or not. So the self is a social construct shaped by the individual's engagement with society. And he defined the self having these two components, that I and me. I, like the spontaneous, active aspect of the self that initiate the action. Like I teach. Me, the reflective aspect, socialized aspect of the self that respond to societal norms. So I teach you, and me is evaluating whether I'm teaching is correct or not based on societal values and norms and everything. So that's the idea about self again. Now, various stages of development. Guys, this again, go back to the theory. I can just tell you what is it. Imitation stage, the play stage, and the game stage. You clearly know that. Imitation stage is the young children who mimic the actions and the words of others without understanding the roles or norms or anything. Coming to the play stage, that's where children begin to adopt the roles of specific individual like parents, teachers, and that will actually allow them to explore the different perspectives. And the game stage is when the children understand the organized roles and the rules of society. And that again, coordinating their actions and with others also, especially in the complex social system. So here they start developing, right? Now, we discussed about symbolic interactionism. So there I discussed about the symbols and the language, verbal communication, non-verbal communication, right? So role of symbols and language also you need to mention. Mead emphasized the importance of symbols, especially language in socialization, verbal and non-verbal. Language enables the individuals to think, communicate, and internalize the societal norms. And that forms the very foundation for reflective thought and self-awareness. So guys, you are very clearly aware about all this, so I'm not getting into the depth of that. Again, we discussed about the significant others and generalized others. So what do you mean by generalized other? That represent the norms, values, and expectations of society at large. And that will allow the individual to understand their role in social system. Significant other, that refers to that influential figures like parents, teachers, the peers, who play a crucial role in shaping self-concept and behavior. So generalized other, significant other, verbal communication, non-verbal communication, the language and the symbols, I, me, all these we covered in detail. That again, you need to write about all this, right? You can also talk about other thinkers' contribution to the role of the self in socialization. Cooley is very important. Charles Horton Cooley, the looking glass self. So Cooley argued that individual self-concept is shaped by their own perception of how others view them. So my, self is actually the understanding, or it's my perception of how you or others view them, right? Or me. So that's how the individual self-concept is shaped. So your self-concept is shaped by the perception, your perception of how others see you. The looking glass self involve, certain 3 steps actually. The first one is imagining how we appear to others, the physical appearance part. So how I'm like, that question, right? How you appear to others, right? Your physical appearance. And then second is interpreting their reaction to us. And the third one, developing a self-concept based on these perceptions. So these are the 3 steps when we talk about looking glass self. Go through the PDF, discussed in detail. I think around 200 words I've given this because I was expecting, if you get a 10 marker, you should be in a position to write. Again, coming to Emile Durkheim, you can talk about social facts and collective consciousness, collective conscience, or conscience collective. So Emile Durkheim emphasized that individuals are influenced by the social facts, which means the norms, values, and structures which are external to individual, and that shapes the behavior of individual. Mead highlighted the active role of the individual, but Durkheim stressed on collective conscience, collective consciousness, conscience collective, which guide the individual behavior and integrate them into society. So both are opposite. When we talk about Durkheim was giving importance to collective conscience, that societal aspect, Mead is giving importance to individual, just like micro. When we talk about Durkheim and Weber, there is a difference, right? Macro, micro, same. Here, micro and macro. Individual is important, society is important. Okay, then Sigmund Freud. You can talk about the role of the unconscious. Freud added a psychological dimension here, and he proposed that the self is shaped by unconscious drives, ID, societal expectation, that the superego, and the mediating force, that the ego. Okay, and his ideas basically align with Mead's focus on the internalization of societal norms. Through, if you look at Freud, he emphasizes psychological conflict rather than symbolic interactionism. But to an extent, it is aligned with Mead. And then Parsons' concept of socialization and systemic integration, we discussed it in many areas also. So Parsons viewed socialization as a mechanism for maintaining societal stability. And he argued that the individuals internalize the societal norms through structured, institutions like family, religion, etc. And that will ensure the system equilibrium. Okay, so these are acting as various, that you remember that moving equilibrium concept, various mechanisms are there which fulfill certain needs and bring back equilibrium. Feedback is given if there is any issue. So these elements, okay, these are structured institutions, and the societal norms or the individual internalize the societal norms through these institutions like family, religion. These are primary socialization agents. What are the criticism? Criticism here we need to discuss. Question is about Mead theory, so we need to discuss specific to Mead. So overemphasis on symbols. So basically the critics argue that Mead's focus on symbols and language that actually downplays other aspects of socialization like economic and power structures. You can talk about dominant class ideologies and other things, right? And then limited role of institutions. See, Durkheim and Parson is talking about institutions' role. Mead, actually not talking about structural forces that shape the socialization process. So that's again some other criticism. And neglect of biological factors. Mead theory assumed that the socialization is purely social process, and he's ignoring the biological influences on personality development. Then, of course, whenever we talk about any Mead or Parson, we talk about the Western bias. So Mead's focus on individual agency, in fact, reflect a Western cultural perspective, which may not apply universally to the collectivist societies. Okay, so these are the points that we can cover, but again, depends upon the question, depends upon the time and the space which is available. If it is a 20 marker, try to bring in all these dimensions. If it is 10 marker, directly get into that. So now how to conclude this? See, Mead's understanding or assertion that individuals play a key role in their own socialization actually highlight the dynamic interplay between the self and society. There is no question about that. Mead emphasized the active symbolic aspect of this process, but thinkers like Cooley, Durkheim, Freud, Parson, they provide complementary perspective on the role of institutions, unconscious drives, and the collective norms. Right? So together, these theories offer a holistic understanding of socialization, and that actually underscoring that individuals are both products and agents of their social environment. So you not only talk about Mead here, we also bring in other thinkers, and that's when I want to make it as a well-rounded, well-thoughtful answer, a proper sociological answer. Right, so that's about this, guys. Thank you so much for attending. If you like the video, share it with your friends also. And if you are looking for any test series on sociology or GS or the course or the mentorship on sociology, get in touch with us. The details are there in the description. So see you in the next video. Thank you so much.